People often blame judges for high crime rates. So to give just one example, I live outside of the city of Springfield. Now, Springfield has been in decline for the past 40, 50 years or more. It has a very high crime rate, and whenever the city has its 20th or its 30th murder of the year, the mayor will speak to the media and he'll very frequently blame judges. He'll say, oh, the police are doing their job, they're catching these guys, they're locking them up, and the judges are just letting them go. Right? The crime rate has nothing to do with the poor management of the city or the poor decisions made by the voters over the past half century. It is the judges who are responsible. Now, I'm no apologist for judges. I really don't have a strong opinion on judges one way or the other. But I do think it's naive to blame them for high crime rates. And in fact, almost ironically, it is the tough judges who are responsible very often for criminal defendants getting off the hook entirely. So this is really for two reasons, and two things that I think people fail to understand about the criminal justice system. The first is that you need to realize in many, many cases, the alleged victim and the defendant are very similar. Right? They're often cut from the same cloth. If you look at the average alleged victim, that person, him or herself, typically has a lengthy criminal record. They are unreliable as witnesses. So in many cases, if they were forced to testify, they would say something that would incriminate themselves. Or they simply, when summoned to appear for a trial or a hearing, they just don't even show up. So it makes it very difficult in the vast majority of criminal cases for a prosecutor to prosecute a defendant when the alleged victim is unreliable and not participating with the prosecution. A second thing that people need to realize, that in many cases, the police overcharge criminal defendants. Now, often police have the bare minimum they need to meet probable cause, and maybe in theory they have all the elements of whatever charge they're asking to enter against the defendant. But when it really comes down to it, and when the facts are scrutinized, the defendant wouldn't be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt at trial, which is a very, very high standard. So there are serious problems with many, many cases that are tried in district court and even in superior court. Now, if you get a tough judge, all right, he or she will often make the idea of tendering a plea so unappealing or unattractive to the defendant that the defendant will force the case to trial or just insist on trial. It's really the judge forcing it to trial. And like I said, in many cases, the prosecutor can't get the alleged victim to show up or can't get the witnesses to show up. Or if everybody shows up and the facts start getting scrutinized, the prosecutor cannot meet the very high bar of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, and the defendant walks away scot-free. Right? So I think it's naive to blame judges, and in my experience, like I said, if you get a tough judge, it often results in more defendants getting off the hook for the charges. I've written a blog post on this, and I'll put it in the description below.